Hey all you cool quirks and killers, welcome back to True Crime Now, your #1 source on the internet for your daily dose of true crime. Today, we're going to talk about the Lori Vallow case and what would turn out to be the murder of her 2 children. This case has captured the nation's headlines recently, and if you somehow haven't heard this story, the twists and turns it takes are unbelievable. Let's go ahead and dive into their story. The beginning. Lori Vallow Daybell's case is very strange indeed. In 2019, so much happened that would change the course of more than just one family. For starters, Lori seemingly loved getting married. At age 19, Lori married her first husband. It didn't last long. At age 22, she remarried and had her first child with a man named William Lagioia. This too ended in divorce for the young Lori, which led to her 3rd marriage to Joseph Ryan Jr. in 2001. They became the proud parents to a baby girl named Tylee. In 2002, Lori's son from her previous marriage, Colby, was adopted by Joseph, and their family was seemingly complete. However, as you may have predicted, things didn't work out between this couple either. In 2005, Lori once again found herself a divorcee. Now let's jump ahead a couple years. On August 5, 2007, Lori's brother, Alex Cox, was arrested for aggravated assault against Joseph. Alex had to serve 90 days in jail for threatening murder. He even used a taser on Joseph. Alex was known as Lori's protector since they were kids, but many fear that this situation was more than just a simple snap. Joseph later died in 2018, supposedly from a heart attack, but we'll look into some strange coincidence a little later in this story. Believe it or not, Lori wasn't done marrying yet and married her 4th husband, Leland Vallow, also known as Charles Vallow, in 2006, and it looked like a family was finally coming together for them both. Charles and Lori had 4 children between them at the time they married, and in 2014, they adopted Joshua Jackson Vallow, or JJ for short, into their family. JJ was Charles's grandnephew, and things were looking up for the Vallow family as they welcomed their newest member. They even moved to Hawaii. Strange behavior. While in Hawaii, Lori became fascinated with a man named Chad Daybell's book series. Chad Daybell was a doomsday writer/prepper who believed the end was near and had a small following with his podcasts. After years away from home, living in Hawaii, the family returned to the States and moved to Arizona. By 2018, Lori had become even more invested in Chad Daybell. She even appeared on Chad's podcast, Preparing a People. A few short months later, Lori seemed to have lost all interest in her family and things just weren't the same at home. During this time, Lori would leave for nearly 2 months straight. The marriage had crumbled to nearly nothing. Threats of violence and divorce by Charles were a regular occurrence, and things were looking bad for this once thriving family. Now, remember, Lori's 3rd husband, Joseph, had died this same year, 2018, of a supposed heart attack. He was cremated, and there is still an investigation into his death taking place to this day due to the suspicious nature of the many deaths to follow, all surrounding Lori Vallow. Next on the list was Charles Vallow, Lori's 4th and current husband. He was killed by Lori's brother, Alex, who claimed he had killed Charles in self-defense in July 2019. At this time, Lori continued to grow closer and closer to Chad Daybell. So, can you guess what happened next? If you guessed that Chad's wife, Tammy, suddenly died in her sleep, you'd be right. And of course, no autopsy was performed. Chad and Lori married almost immediately after the death of their spouses. In fact, it was only 17 days after Tammy died. This set off alarm bells for those investigating the wave of death that seemed to be following this now couple. Detectives later found that wedding rings were purchased by Chad and sent to Lori's home. Why is this significant? Well, it turns out that Chad bought rings for his next marriage a full 17 days before his current wife was even dead. Nothing suspicious there, right? Right, let's move on. The story only gets more twisted from here. The missing children. Within the same year that 3 deaths impacted this same family, 2 of the children would also go missing. On September 8, 2019, Lori, Alex, Tylee, and JJ visited Yellowstone National Park for a family day out. This is the last time Tylee was ever seen alive. Authorities later determined that this is where Tylee must have been killed. There is even an eerie photo of Alex and Tylee together at the park. JJ was last seen at his elementary school on September 23rd. The very next day, he was unenrolled and would never be seen again. After lying to friends and family about the children's whereabouts for over a month, a welfare check was issued by JJ's family on November 26th. Lori convinced a close friend to lie and say JJ was with her. This same friend later recorded a phone call with Lori and Chad when the lies implicating her became too obvious and gave the recording to the police. On December 20th, both of the children were finally declared officially missing, with Lori and Chad being the key persons of interest. Multiple court orders to prove the children were safe were simply ignored as the families and community continued their search for the children. This is where the media really began to take off with the story of the missing children and their mother, who was involved with a mysterious cult leader. The children are found. Lori was finally arrested on February 20th, 2020. A major break in the case came in June, but it was news no one wanted to hear. After an extensive search, the bodies of both children were found buried in the backyard of Chad Daybell's home on June 9th, 2020. Lori was already charged with multiple felonies and Chad was charged the moment Tylee and JJ were found. Further investigations into the deaths of their former spouses, Joseph Ryan and Tammy Daybell, are leading authorities to pursue additional charges. If the evidence keeps piling up the way it is, things aren't going to end well for Lori and Chad, who aren't helping their cases because they are not talking. Lori's case will be heard in court in late January 2021, while Chad's court date is set around mid-January. Both have pled not guilty to all charges. This cult mother has a lot of explaining to do in regard to her children and her former husband. The country waits and hopes for justice for Tylee and JJ. And quickly. Update. On October 29th, Judge Stephen Boyce of Idaho granted the request to have the 2 trials combined into one, with only Chad and his lawyer disapproving. They believe it will negatively impact the trial for Chad. Lori was unopposed to this motion. What do you think about this case? There are so many twists and turns, and still likely more to come. We'll post an update video after the trials. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated with our new videos, and let us know if you liked the video by hitting the like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and until next time, don't be embarrassed to sleep with the lights on.